Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 52 of the Social Liability Podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss those folks in our lives that violate the social contracts that we all agree to live by. I am your host, the Raspberries, with my co-host, the Buck Grundle, bringing you the second episode this week as a makeup for the lost episode that was episode 51, re-recorded, and now we're moving on to episode 52. Again, we did have a snafu there with our first in a series of special guests that will be joining us on the podcast. So welcome, and thank you for still continuing to listen. Normally, at this juncture on the podcast, I'd be asking Buck, how's your week been? But I just asked him that, 45 minutes ago?
Something like that.
But then right at the end of the podcast, you decided to be a liability to me.
Yes. Yes.
So if you listen to episode 51, you'll know that right at the end of the episode, Buck just up and disappeared, and I was left there in the middle of a read. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna finish this episode. So I just wrapped it up the best I could. What the hell happened, Buck? Oh, he's coughing. His mic's muted. He's coughing again.
Hey, at least I had the recognizance to mute my mic.
Cognizance, not recognizance. Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm gonna. Yeah. Now we're going that way now, buddy. Come on.
Hey, whatever. At least I muted my mic. It wasn't a Coke can, which I got an empty one of those. I might just do. Either way, man, my computer just decided to randomly restart and just completely shit the bed on me. It was a catastrophic system failure. I mean, I had no idea what to do. I graduated from public school. This thing, the screen went black, and I was just like, no. It's the only thing I have. No. But now, we're back up and rolling, and we're okay. But more importantly, man, this is episode 52. You know what that means? We have been at this for one whole calendar year.
That's
episode
insane.
52, man. Man, people don't even have... Well, I don't want to say that.
What?
But people... Well, no, I'm just going to make a bad analogy, and it had to do with something that just really wasn't appropriate. So there are lines that I won't even cross. But either way, man, I crossed a whole lot of lines in the last 52 weeks. And if you go back through the archives of the Social Liability Podcast, you can see me make a dick out of myself all sorts of ways.
Yeah. So we've been known to make some social faux pas ourselves.
Yep.
Well, Buck, I've got a whole slew of stories this week, and not the least of which is our title episode, which I'm going to get to last, as always. But let's start out with this one, who was actually submitted to us by one of our colleagues, Sadar. Police. Kansas Representative Mark Samzel left student with bruises and kicked him in the testicles. But that's not the best part. He explains his actions. Hang on, Buck's got a comment.
I just had to finish taking my drink, man, because that headline almost got Coke all over me.
Well,
that's good. Okay.
Well, Kansas Rep Mark Samzel said, God works in mysterious ways when confronted by law enforcement over a bruise he allegedly gave a student while he was substitute teaching in April. Oh, my Lord. The Wellsville Republican faces 3 misdemeanor battery charges involving 2 approximately 16-year-old victims from an April 28th incident at the city's high school. Numerous videos taken by students that day show Samzel ranting about God, the Bible, masturbation, and suicide. One student told police Samzel kicked him in the crotch. Franklin County District Court on Tuesday released the probable cause affidavit used to charge Samzel. The document signed by the Franklin County Sheriff's Office detective recounts over 9 pages of the detective's investigation. It was released despite efforts from Samzel's attorney to have the document sealed. During an interview with investigators, Sam Zell described a chaotic classroom with misbehaving students and said he had began to lose his temper a little bit. I'd say so. According to the affidavit, students had Sam Zell at his wit's end, he told the officers. Sam Zell said he barely grabbed one of the students and told the student to give him some space and said he had heard the student had a bruise. Personally, I think the comment might have went a different way if he had said it the other way. He then said, I would honest to God never do anything to hurt him. Apparently not. Though maybe bruises softly, but God works in mysterious ways. Last week, Sam Zell pled not guilty to 3 battery charges, and a judge ordered him to undergo mental health evaluation as part of his bond condition. His next hearing is scheduled for July 12th. Even though I don't want to do anything that I don't... Wait a minute, I gotta start. This dude's kind of like... They're quoting him directly, but it's like really hard to read. Even though I didn't want to do any of the things I did right there, and that is what's going to end up in a manic hospital, probably, because it all has the appearances of a psychotic episode or manic episode, Sam Zell told investigators. Sam Zell also told investigators he was following the instructions from God. Sam Zell's attorney told the Star, that's a pretty long affidavit compared to normal, but I would just like to remind everyone that the allegations, he is innocent until proven guilty. Sam Zell is expected to be back in Topeka Wednesday for the legislature's ceremonial last day of session. Speaker of the House Ron Reichman has previously said he was concerned by the charges and he watched to see how the judicial process played out. The affidavit describes an incident captured on video by high school students who were in the class where it was shared with the Star. Videos show Sam Zell telling one student, "You're about to anger me and get the wrath of God." He then grabbed the student by both arms and shoved him against the wall. The student then broke free and ran to the other side of the room, yelling. According to the affidavit, the student told investigators he did not want to be touched. He was scared of what just happened and wanted to get away from Mark. The students, whose names are redacted, said that Sam Zell threatened to kick him in the balls, which he initially ignored because he did not believe a teacher would ever do that. About 10 minutes later, he said Sam Zell did kick him in the testicles. He was confused, in pain, and had to catch his breath before returning to his seat. Police described the student's injuries, which looked like road rash, the size of golf balls on his shoulder. There was a scratch on his other shoulder, and the students stated that it took up to 15 minutes for the pain to subside after Sam Zell kicked him. In an interview with police, Sam Zell described pushing the student by saying he barely grabbed him, firmly, but enough, right on the shoulders. Sam Zell claimed that the student embellished the kick to his crotch. "I did not kick the young man. I did not strike him. I just did it enough to... And I didn't even know if I made contact with you, to be honest," Sam Zell said. Another student from the class told police that Sam Zell got in her face, grabbed her by the shoulders, and asked her if she was suicidal or had mental problems. The student's name, who's redacted, had no injuries from the incident, but told police she thought Mark was going to hurt her. The affidavit also describes Sam Zell instructing 2 students to hold hands and walk around the track as punishment. The incident was also captured on videos reviewed by the Star. According to the affidavit, several students told police they were scared and confused by Sam Zell's actions. In Facebook posts following the incident, Sam Zell claimed the entire incident had been planned with the students. According to the affidavit, he had similar comments to the police, stating he was aware that students were taping the class, but believed the video would be used for a higher purpose. In the affidavit, police said they asked Sam Zell if God told him to put his hands on the child. Mark stated twice. He stated the whole world was telling him not to do it. God said yes. Mark believes this is God's plan. Okay.
Wow. He's a state representative and he was substitute teaching.
And
he grabbed it and he grabbed and assaulted children. I hope he doesn't get reelected.
He probably will. I mean, I would think if you catch criminal charges while you're an elected official, you should be removed from office. That's just my opinion. But, that's oftentimes not the way it goes. I knew of somebody who got elected to as a state constable in Pennsylvania who was a convicted felon. So he was a sworn law enforcement officer who was prohibited by law from carrying a gun.
Well, dude, when we worked in the prison, we had that guy in the work release building that was a council member for York Springs.
That's right. I do remember that.
And he left the prison every day to go to work as a city council person for a township like 3 townships over from the prison.
Yeah, and there's no councilman that works full time. There's just not.
Well, regardless, I mean, he gamed the system and he did a good job of it. But the fact of the matter is that, just because you're charged with something, that guy left jail to go be a city councilman. It doesn't exclude you.
Yeah, so, a city of, 120 people?
Hey, man, he got a plaque, a medal, and a trophy. He still gets to wear the sash. Doesn't matter. That's all there is, But the fact of the matter is this: this guy is running around. This is for Kansas, I would guess, but Kansas elected this guy to be in charge of some stuff with the state legislature. He's in there, so whatever. He got elected to be in that position of power, and now he's abusing and physically assaulting children at a public school, and ranting about how God told him to do it.
What I want to know what denomination or religion he's a member of. Because I want to know what we have gods that say, eradicate this race. We've had gods that say, I'm going to, bring judgment upon all of mankind. But I don't know of any religion that said kick kids in the balls.
Right. Personally, if I were the parents of one of those children, I wouldn't do a damn thing, and it would be exactly handled the way that it is now. But I'd like to. I imagine myself never letting him make it. And the thing is, though, is that there are parents out there who really wouldn't take too kindly to that. Somebody kicking their kid in the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to think that the person you're doing that to has a dad that is not going to appreciate this at all, in the least.
At the same time, I kind of have feelings about letting your kids solve their own problems, but when it's a teacher, somebody who's in that position of authority, no, you kind of have to step in and solve it for them. Now, if that means someone catches an ass whipping, that means someone catches an ass whipping. But it's just on a more lighthearted note, last evening I was sitting on the front porch as the kids were out in the street playing. I know that sounds horrible. It's not, trust me. And there was all these kids in the front yard, and they were all trying to pick teams for this Nerf gun battle. And this one kid accidentally, I'm assuming, I'd like to think, shot another kid in the face as they were sitting around trying to pick teams. And this kid just froze for a minute. And it was funny as hell, because they all had these little Nerf pistols and stuff. This kid just freezes. He hands the gun to his sister, turns around and walks into his house. And he comes out with the biggest Nerf gun I have ever seen. It looked like a Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifle. I wish to God I had had the security cameras on at the time and could have captured this for posterity. This kid looking like fucking John Wick comes stomping out of the house with this Nerf gun that's bigger than him. And proceeds to track this kid down and just annihilate him with Nerf bullets.
Oh, man.
And the whole time my kids are sitting there watching, I'm not in this.
That's a you thing.
This looks like the problem you guys need to solve for yourselves. We're just going to be over here with our bikes.
Like my favorite part of that story, man, is he hands. He doesn't say a word, just hands the pistol to his sister. Just hands a Nerf gun to his sister. He's like, "Hold my beer."
Didn't say a word. His eyes got big. He handed her the gun, turned around, and walked in the house. I'm thinking, wow, he's gonna go pout? No, sir. My question today is, why didn't he have that gun from the start?
His mom probably told him it was an unfair advantage. And then he walks in there and goes, "Mom."
No. Actually, let me point this out. We were sitting on our porch. I was kind of just messing with my Switch, and Sadar was getting mad at me for not talking to her. And their mom was sitting on their porch reading a book, so she saw it go down. Didn't say a word. He walked right past her. She just sat there like she knew what was going to happen. And I loved it.
Well, that silence, it was probably the audible thought, like you could probably hear the thoughts going through his head, like, I was told not to bring this out because it was unfair. But this cannot go unpunished. So he's like, just like girding his loins to just make the walk past his mom, and he's like, "Mom isn't gonna say shit. I'm just gonna go in there. I'm gonna come back out, and it's gonna be like the OK Corral."
It was the highlight of my evening, I'll tell you that much.
That's great. He just comes out and John Wicks his way over.
All right, our next story is being reported by The Guardian. Missing man found dead inside of Spanish dinosaur statue. Do I really need to read the story, or is that enough right there? Police in Catalonia are investigating the death of a man who is thought to have become trapped inside of a large dinosaur statue while trying to retrieve his mobile phone. Police were called to the statue in St. Colma del Garment, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry, a satellite town of Barcelona, after a man and his son noticed something inside of the papier-mâché stegosaurus on Saturday afternoon. A spokesman for the regional police force said that I can't. said the death of the 39-year-old man was not treated as suspicious. The father and son noticed there was something inside and raised the alarm. We found the body of the man inside the leg of the Stegosaurus statue. It's an accidental death. There was no violence. This person got inside the statue's leg and got trapped. It looks as though he was trying to retrieve a mobile phone which he had dropped. It looks like he entered the statue head first and couldn't get out. A spokeswoman said officers had been called in and firefighters to help cut into the statue so the body of the man could be removed. We're still waiting for autopsy results, so we don't know how long he was in there, but it seems as though he was there for a couple of days. According to local media, the dead man has been reported missing by his family a few hours before the body was discovered. There's embarrassing ways to go, and then there's ones that people recount in tales of the town's history for years to come. I think this goes more towards that one instead of the, like, we're going to laugh at you because you're an idiot. When's the last time a dinosaur killed a man? Apparently.
Yeah, I was about ready to say, like, he just got eaten by a dinosaur. They found him inside. There's only one way to get inside a dinosaur, and that's if it eats you.
I guess. I want to know why there was a giant papier-mâché dinosaur outside.
I want to know how he couldn't bust out of a giant papier-mâché dinosaur.
I want to know how he died. I mean, seriously, you don't just die from getting stuck. He had to have been there for a minute.
Right, like nobody's walking by, he can't scream at it. Was he just too embarrassed? Like, I got eaten by this papier-mâché dinosaur, and now I'm going to have to get unstuck?
I mean,
like,
did he break his neck? I mean, it just seems so weird. I don't understand.
You know what? I think that's a plausible theory. Breaking his neck, going head first in.
Maybe.
It would have to. I don't think he died from, like,
starvation or dehydration.
Yeah, Like I don't think it has. I think it was just like he died and then just like slipped the rest of the way in there.
Yeah, maybe so. He had a heart attack because he didn't want people to find out the pictures were on that phone.
Clear my Google search history.
Clear it! Well, our next story is being reported by the Volkspaper. I'm not sure what the Volkspaper is, but I saw the headline and I thought, self, 'cause that's what I call myself, this needs to be on the episode. DIY store owner shares CCTV of woman taking dump in his car park for the fourth time.
Ooh.
A DIY store owner has shared CCTV footage of a woman taking a dump in his car park. Vaughn Coley, managing director of the Building Plastics Wales, has had his car parked soiled at least 4 times recently. While he is unsure if all the incidents were perpetrated by the same person, he caught the latest event red-handed when he checked his CCTV footage. In the footage, which was recorded outside of his store in the Penmeen Industrial Estate in, oh God, Pontlefarth. I gotta stick to English papers, dude. At around midnight on Monday, the woman can be seen handing her bag to a man before running into the car park and crouching down behind a hedge. The woman then pulls down her kecks and squats for a good 40 seconds or so. I came in about 6 a.m. and saw poo in the car park. I honestly thought it was dog poo. So I went inside in hopes to get some doggy bags to pick it up, but thought, hang on, I'll have a look at who it was. I thought it'd be someone I've seen daily walking their dog. I took a sip of my coffee and put on my CCTV and saw 2 people walking down the road. I then spat my coffee all over the screen. Cooley said that after the incident, he called up the city council and they cleaned up the mess, but now he is planning to take legal action based on the footage. He has also taken some preventative measures after the incident as he has turned on the lights opposing the spot where the woman took a dump. He believes that this measure may make people think twice before committing such an act again. Who do you have to piss off enough that they come and shit in your driveway?
I have no idea.
I mean, I've been mad at some people. But, I mean, how mad do you have to be to go out of your way, not just once, but at least 4 times, to go into this person's driveway and just take a shit? What do you have to do to somebody to make them that angry? This guy knows exactly who this chick is. There is no way he doesn't know who she is.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. He's probably like president of the HOA.
Oh, that's a good one.
I would have never even thought of that particular hypothesis if it wasn't for us reviewing the, foils of, our fellow humans committing social liabilities. I had something really prophetic, and like in my head, I had a really eloquent way of saying that, and it just came out really not. So I apologize for that.
It's okay, Buck. We all can't be on our game all the time.
But this machine's always turned up to 11.
Well, this one is also coming from the Volkspaper because I saw this. I literally saw this headline at the end of the story, and I clicked on it, and now I'm going to read it. So this isn't even planned. Completely naked Minnesota woman arrested for masturbating in someone else's car and refusing to stop.
Ooh.
A completely naked woman was arrested after she was caught masturbating in someone else's car and refusing to stop. Okay. So, future reference, Volkspaper, skip the first sentence. The 35-year-old woman, Jennifer Weber, faces numerous misdemeanor charges after she was found completely naked and digitally penetrating herself on May 9th inside an SUV that didn't belong to her. Yeah. Police were summoned to the scene by those who observed Weber as she was pleasuring herself in someone else's vehicle. Yes, we understand. It is someone else's vehicle. We get it. Move on. As police arrived, they observed Weber, who was walking and jumping around naked, going in and out of vehicles at a motor business in Makota, about 80 miles southwest of Minneapolis.
Wait. Were they somebody else's vehicles?
I'm guessing it was a Chevy lot. Police dispatches were originally told the naked woman was sitting alone inside of a Pontiac SUV, and she, quote, looked happy and did not appear to be hurt, but appeared to possibly be under the influence. As officers attempted to interact with the woman, she did not stop masturbating. She was first situated inside of a gold SUV where she was reported, and later she started pleasuring herself inside of a gray pickup truck with the door wide open. Throughout this time, Weber was making nonsensical statements and continued to masturbate. Minnesota police were eventually able to coax the completely naked woman out of the vehicle and take her into custody. She was taken to a detoxification center for treatment, according to police documents. Weber was later charged with indecent exposure, narcotics possession, DWI, and entering a vehicle without the owner's permission.
Wow.
I mean, dear God. I'd like to say I haven't seen anything like that in public before, but that'd be a lie. So you think she was on mushrooms?
It could have been, man.
Do you think it was Mike Tyson's mushrooms?
Could have been like right after she watched his blog or vlog, whatever.
Thanks, Iron Mike. That sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes. Sage advice.
Oh.
Just remember, folks, flick, then pick. Okay? Flick, pick. You find mushrooms, you flick the cap twice to get the spores out, and then you pick it. Always leave something behind for the next people. Huh?
Oh, thank God you're talking about mushrooms. I thought you were talking about something else.
No, sir. No. There's a subreddit for that.
I'm sure there's a subreddit for everything.
That's what makes it such a funny comeback. Or like a funny, like, retort filler. You know? It's like, At least it got my health. Well, no, I really don't. But there is a subreddit for that.
All right, our next story. It's being reported by the Daily Mail, but it's a Florida story. I think the Brits just like talking about us. But, Buck, I have 2 boys. You have 2 girls. So this one's probably going to make more sense to you, but I'm still morally outraged at this one. I'll be actually pretty honest about it. This one was also given to us by Sadar. Prude Patrol. Parents blast Florida high school for editing at least 60 inappropriate yearbook photos of female students in a bid to make their outfits more conservative. Parents of a Florida high school students are demanding an apology after their daughter's yearbook photos were edited to cover up their chests. Officials at the Bartram Trail High School in St. John reportedly ordered more than 60 snaps in their 2021 yearbook to be photoshopped because they were, quote, inappropriate. But a majority of the photos that were edited featured female students, and the school is now facing allegations of sexism. Several photos leaked to the internet show the girls' shirts were photoshopped to bring the necklines higher. However, photos of the boys were wearing simply skimpy Speedos were left unedited. 9th grader Riley O'Keefe says she was left stunned when she saw her outfit had been altered in the printed edition of the yearbook, particularly because it had been approved by the school before she had taken the photo. O'Keefe's mom, Stephanie, told the First Coast News Friday. Yesterday, she happened to be wearing the shirt again, so after school, she went up to the school and asked if she was in dress code, and they said yes. So my next question was, if the shirt was in dress code and it was good enough for school and your school ID, why is it not good enough for the yearbook? Other students say they had been left feeling sexualized by the school, claiming the outfits they were wearing were inappropriate in any way. I felt confident that day that I looked good in dress code, 9th grader Zoe, I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry. When it was sent to my mom and all of us saw it, I felt very sexualized. The school had purportedly told parents that they can request a refund if they are not happy with the yearbook. But one irate mom says she's getting her money back does not go far enough. Our daughters of Bartram deserve an apology. They are making them feel embarrassed about who they are. It's not the first time Photoshop has been used in a high school yearbook. Back in 2017, a New Jersey high school hit headlines after officials edited out a Donald Trump t-shirt a male student was wearing in his yearbook snap. Well, I don't know why that had to be on there, but there is several of these pictures that are posted with the original photo and then the photoshopped version of it. They're not even good photoshops, like, at all.
No, I saw those photos myself. Caregiver Katie was showing me that article. So I'm glad she didn't read it, because that's the first I heard anything from it. But I'll tell you what, as a father of two young ladies, biological females, I'll tell you right now, like, it's my job to discern whether what they leave the house in is appropriate or not. The school told them they were in dress code. Like, who the hell is photoshopping my kid's photo? Like, that's what I want to know. And why the hell are you making it look like bad? Those photos are terrible. Like, the one girl's got like a Photoshop border. Like, they did like the whole border. Like, they put a border on her sweater. Like, what like,
it doesn't even line up. It's like they put a big V on there to cover it up, so they kept her necklace. But
right. I mean, like, she looks like a page boy. Like, I would ask her for a cup of ale. I'd be like, wench, bring me a flagon of ale. That's what they made that girl look like.
Dude, I feel really uncomfortable commenting on this because they're in high school. But looking at the original photos, there's nothing inappropriate there. If I had daughters, I would feel completely comfortable with them wearing these outfits.
Same.
And it's just, I am just appalled by this. I can't imagine what it's like for a father of girls. I mean, seriously, this is ridiculous. And they have like no remorse about, oh yeah, we did it. Yeah. It's just, and I'm not sure what I'm more offended by, though. The fact that they did it, or the fact that they just had somebody that they did it with fucking Microsoft Paint.
Yeah. I mean, like, some of those airbrushed top fill-ins, I mean, like, they're not, like, you can tell, like, it's done with a spray paint tool.
It's bad. And here's a thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. We've all had like jobs in high school. I got a job in high school, and it was like the first job I ever had that I wasn't getting paid minimum wage. Minimum wage at the time, and here's where I'm going to age us, was $5.15 an hour, and they gave me $7.75. And I thought I was on top of the world. You know what that job was, Buck? That job was working for a company called Herff Jones. Herff Jones, I believe, is still in business. And you can pull out your high school yearbook and look. Herff Jones probably made it. We would get the pictures. My job was to design the yearbook pages and to drop the pictures into the pages for printing. I also would go in and airbrush photos to get rid of blemishes, but I never once was asked to make the pictures more appropriate. It was seriously to make the pictures and they had to request it. It was at the students' request, not the school's. If the school had a problem with it, they should have taken care of it before the picture was freaking taken. But again, as I look at these photos, I cannot figure out what. And I'm sorry, Buck, 'cause I don't mean to sound horrible, but I'm going to. What freaking Mormon did they hire to do this?
No, dude, I completely agree. Like, who made this decision? Like, who unilaterally, like, asserted their own authority to the point where they were just like, and these tops are inappropriate? Because like the article said, the school was like, no, we're like, that's completely within the parameters. Somebody at like the yearbook place, it sounds to me like they have perpetrated this.
Oh no!
Like, they took it.
No.
Or was it the school?
This had to be the school. There is no doubt in my mind. This had to be the school.
Well, then whatever. Same judgment. Just it falls on the school. Like, what? Why would they lie and be tricksters about it? And then somebody just is like, again, unilaterally just going, I think this is bad.
Yeah.
And just gets like somebody from the AV club to come in there, not even like the Ace Maverick. They get like the guy who like
the kid.
just,
No,
like,
they get the kid that needs the extra credit.
yeah, I mean, like they got the towel boy for the AV club to come in there and Photoshop these pictures. He's like, I know where Photoshop is. Good enough. Come in here. Just make sure it looks the same. Okie dokie. I can put a fine border around this girl's neck. Oh, that'll be great. What the? I'd be pissed.
This is horrible.
I mean, again, this is where I believe that my ex-wife is better suited for this kind of situation because I can tell you she'd have a baby canary. Like,
you mean she'd lay an egg?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like she would just like my ex-wife would, because she takes care of our daughters, the majority of the time. They're only up here with me in Virginia for 6 weeks a year. So I mean, this would definitely fall into her wheelhouse. And I can tell you, all I'd have to do is just sit back and laugh, because I know for a fact that if one of my kids had their pictures messed with like this, my ex-wife would just fly off the handle.
Well, let's go to a more lighthearted but maybe deadly note. This is being reported by the, what is this? The New York Post. 224-pound Russian woman reportedly killed husband with her buttocks. Yep, this dude got assed to death. The 224-pound Russian woman faces some heavy-duty justice after sitting on her husband and strangling him to death with her massive buttocks during a boozy dispute. Let me stop. I'm kind of... I had not really read this article because I knew we were going to use it for this story, but I'm kind of getting pissed off already. They're calling her massive and everything else. 224 pounds is not massive.
Not even.
Yeah.
Unless she's like 3 feet tall.
Yeah. I mean, is she a hobbit?
Yeah. I mean, that are the proportions off? Because just the weight does not make it sound like we're dealing with a beluga here.
Right. Well, Titania, her name's Titania. Titania O allegedly refused to let Adair go even as he begged forgiveness. Adair's daughter saw him pinned face down on the bed and ran to seek help from the neighbors in the Russian city of Russian name, because I'm not even going to try to pronounce this thing. It starts with an N, though, and ends with an SK. Go figure. According to the news outlet, which cited evidence in the case, a female neighbor who arrived reportedly decided the couple were in the midst of a domestic dispute and left. Titania said she merely wanted to calm her hubby down after the couple had been drinking. Adair died from asphyxia from blocking the respiratory system as his face was wedged into the mattress as Titania sat on his neck, using her legs so he could not lift it. Oh my lord. The wife strangled her husband to death with her buttocks, which after drinking too much alcohol, according to a local media report cited by the paper. During trial, Titania was convicted of causing death by negligence after a murder charge was dropped. But the investigation committee announced that it is calling for a new murder charge against Titania, who had been angry, quote, after drinking heavily. After Aiden stopped showing signs of life, the accused, frightened, shook him and shouted at him to wake up. Damn. Dude got dead because
man,
she sat on his head.
She did it like Goldeneye style.
Goldeneye?
Yeah, the Russian lady who could like squeeze you to death with her thighs, Famke Jensen, in the Goldeneye, like James Bond Goldeneye.
You got me, bro.
Okay, well,
I'm sure most people are like, yeah, Raz, you're an idiot. You don't understand that. But I'm sorry, I don't get it.
It's okay. Don't worry about it, man. Not everybody. Without me, this podcast is just also. I kind of like I put the Mataz in your Raz. Don't worry about it. You don't need to get everything.
So, you know, when we try to come up with names for the episodes, we usually check, okay, which one's going to be the best one? And that one wasn't really the best one, but it sounded like it was going to be from the headline. So today's episode is, quote, in Russia, ass eat Yule. Because you have to say because you have to say it with an accent. You have to say it with an accent. But that is all we got for this episode, Buck. And this was episode 52. Like you said, we've been doing this for a year. A year. That's actually pretty amazing when you stop and think about it.
Yeah. People don't even have marriages last this long.
That's very true. Now, we are looking to try to change the format a little bit. Don't be scared, though. We did try with episode 51, the lost episode, which we're going to do again. But we're going to test it better next time. We did have caregiver Katie and Sadar on it. We did kind of like a 4-way thing. It did not work out. I have been in touch with a couple personalities I'm acquainted with that have agreed to also be on the show. So we're going to start adding some guests in here and there. And it's not going to be like adding new hosts to the show or anything, but we're going to add special guest appearances by some folks. And if hopefully, it'll add a little spice to this awesome pizza that we got going on. Sprinkle a little crab meat on there, because that makes an awesome pizza, let me tell you. What's your favorite?
I would like to try that.
You ever had a crab pizza? Because it's freaking awesome.
Nope. I've had shrimp pizza, though, and that was good. I can only imagine the crab would make it better.
Mm-hmm. I've even had lobster pizza, and then you buy that by the slice. You don't buy it by the pie.
Yeah.
Oh, so Buck, where can everybody listen to our show? Have you memorized that yet? Because I say it at the end of every episode.
You can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, or any of the other major podcasting platforms that you have available to you, up to and including watching our podcast on our YouTube channel, which is found by searching for the Mount Moon Crew. We have other content available as well that you may enjoy, such as the Just Pizza and the Better Than Bad with Buck series hosted by me, Buck, and I do plan on recording a few more videos soon. Folks, thank you again for joining us as we traveled through the annals of the internet to find some of the dregs of society and bring you this social liability podcast. Again, your patronage is very much appreciated, and we wish you the best of all weeks. Thank you so much, and for, posterity's sake, have a week. Was that adequate, Raz? Did I get that?
If you would just shut your mouth instead of asking for assurances, I may have just ended the recording right there.
Yeah, but you know what? I got to be a big boy. Like, I got to do like I wasn't just a co-host. Like, I got to do like host duties. Like, this is a year-long. Like, I've been waiting a year for this.
Well, if you do search us on YouTube, you can also search for the Social Liability Podcast specifically, and you'll find our videos in there. All of our episodes are archived on there for video consumption, and I don't recommend watching us because we're not the most attractive men in the world, but it is what it is. That being said, folks, as Buck said, thank you very much for listening. If you have any stories you'd like to send us, please feel free to do so. You can send them to us at socialliability@icloud.com. And other than that, we look forward to seeing you next week on the Social Liability Podcast.